All right, so hello everyone. Happy spooky season. And we are back with some late night audio. Or whenever you're watching this, my videos tend to go live in the morning, but I never know. I'm recording this at 4 a.m., so. Because here we are, and it's spooky season, and we got more videos, and aren't you proud of me? Please, please be proud. I'm trying. I'm trying my absolute best to be better about this. So, as the title and the thumbnail say, we got our paper here. So let's talk about art markets, and let's talk about, let me turn my fan off. Let's talk about, oh, this is what I get for not preparing properly. I write the script, I do things ready, I think I prep, and yeah, anyway. We're talking about art markets here. If you are new here, hi, my name is Michi, or TwistedDisaster. I am a full-time freelance artist, and for the whole little shtick, I am a witch possessed in the body of a demon cat girl, so there we go, got that. All right, now, I have been doing conventions and shows for many years now. My very first show ever was in 2018, but I didn't really take it seriously until after the Panini, like many people out there. And I'm going to be talking to strictly people who want to take this a bit more professionally. If you are a hobbyist and just enjoy my videos, that's fine. But if you feel upset or offended or my advice or things don't work for you, that's more than fine. This is what I've just learned. These are things that I've learned, my opinions, my facts from talking to other people and experiencing them myself. So, what is an art market or a flea market? You are seeing many more of these pop up compared to how it used to be. And the simple answer is the world sucks right now. The world sucks right now, and most people don't have a lot of money. And a lot of people don't like to talk about how conventions and other things can be very, very expensive. Not only to vend, but to go to. They can be a bit of a pain. So, a good way for a lot of artists to subsidize our income and to get another form of currency, because, again, hee hee, I used to do these little shows. And the reason for that is because they are free markets. Usually, more people are more willing to spend because they only have to really drive to the event. They are also often much cheaper than conventions. I'm also going to be talking about some pros and cons and whether or not it's worth it and if it's a good thing. I will say, I personally think if you already have a lot of the supplies that I mention here in my little notes here, it's a lot easier than just starting out straight from scratch. And you'd actually be very surprised how many of these items I mention here people just kind of have that you can borrow, figure out until you can get your own. So that way you're not out a bunch of money doing a cheaper event. So art markets are usually outside events. And I will say right here, right now, if you live in areas that have extreme weather conditions, you need to ask yourself a very honest answer of would I go to this thing in X weather? And if your answer is no, you probably shouldn't do it. I say that because I made the horrible mistake. For people who don't know, I live in Cali and I hate it here, like many Californians do. But it gets so hot in Southern California that the past two events that I did in the heat, I did horribly at. And it simply came down to people didn't show up till the sun came down. And I made my money back. I was able to make a little bit of profit. But it's one of those things that when you do these events, they are set up, tear down same day because it is a 1 day event. And I end up feeling as if I waste a lot of time doing these if no one's going to show up. And I'm sure many other people feel that way. It's one of those well, I could be at home working on stuff compared to wasting my time here. But on the ones where the weather was perfect and nice and decent, I've made some pretty good backup cash. And that's what I kind of call it. You're not making what you are at a convention unless you already have a fully big booth, which if you are, why are you here? Unless you just enjoy listening to me ramble. Which, if you do, please comment, and subscribe because the bots seem to actually kind of like me again. Don't want to jinx it, so get a little excited there. But The first thing you need to do, I'm already all over the place. For people who are wondering, I have ramble content. Again, I bring this up for any new people here. I much more enjoy this kind of stuff. It's the videos I enjoy watching. So if you want a very highly edited, very, point by point by point video, feel free to look elsewhere. It's not what you're going to find here. So the first thing, obviously, is if you've never done any show ever at all, the first thing you need to do is get a seller's permit. And if you're going to be doing conventions or anything else or selling like at events, you need a seller's permit. Now, here's the not fun part. You're going to have to do some Googling because I don't know what state you live in. I don't know what country you live in. I don't know how things go. And I can only talk about the experience I went through with my seller's permit, which was I Googled California seller's permit, what to get. And then I filled out all the stuff, got it. Cost me, I think, $25. They're usually not that expensive. And then I have to renew it every couple of years or so, at least with the version that I got. And then they just give you a little email, because they have you an option to, like, get it printed there, or you can just email it to you and print it at home. That's what I've had, and I've had no issues with my permit. When I had to do some out-of-state cons, I had to get temporary permits or seller's permits for those states. I've had to fill out tax rules and laws that are there for different things. So again, that's just kind of that be how it be. It's different from place to place, which is why I'm not comfortable giving how it worked for me, because I will just say from my experience doing SoccerCon, their tax process was completely different than what I was used to here. So you're gonna have to do some Googling on your end, hon. That's just what you're gonna have to do. So once you're done there, now you're going to look into the markets. Now here's also the not fun part. You're going to have to find markets in your area, which I know I live in SoCal, but there are markets in your area. You just have to find them. I'm letting you know right now, they are a lot more common than a lot of people think, and more people are popping up with them because, again, they don't cost as much to host for these companies like conventions do. If you saw my previous video about how convention culture is kind of upsetting, you know that I talked about how the heads of these companies, they end up doing the hard work of like renting the space, but we the artists and we the vendors end up paying for the space. It's the same thing with the art markets. Those people are doing the nitty gritty hard work. They're setting it up. They're getting the permits. They're making sure the area we're in is good. And so that's why you end up paying them, and usually why they are cheaper, because another reason why they're cheaper is 99% of the time, realistically, I only did 2 other outdoor events where I had stuff with me. It's bring your own stuff. You got to bring your own table, bring your own chairs, bring your own canopy if you have a big enough spot for it. I've talked about it in a previous vlog where I did my little like Halloween night market. I have now done that event 3 more times since I made that video, and all about same-ish outcome from what I learned. I've done better, but still not really my thing, and then I've done a couple of other ones where it was all outside, and it was in a bigger, I got that 10-foot spot, and like I said in my night market video, those 10-foot spots are the best thing to have. From my experience, from now what I've learned, yeah, those 10-foot spots in any of these kind of events, they're totally worth it. Again, they range anywhere, for at least what I've noticed. I don't know if it's different in other states. They range anywhere from like $130 to about $200. I have never seen, well, that's not true. I saw one that was more than that. But I ain't applying to that, because that is, I'm not spending that kind of money and not getting a guaranteed profit from it. I won't name where because I don't want to get people mad at me for other places, but yeah. And again, the reason why they're so cheap is because you're bringing your own stuff. You're bringing your own table, you're bringing your own chairs. They just kind of supply you the square. Now, with that being said, I have also been to sketchy areas. I have been to some not safe areas doing these events, and that's something you're going to want to look into. One I did recently that was really funny, I actually did really well at, but my partner and I ended up getting really skeeved out because it was in, like, the shell of an abandoned mall. I know that sounds so crazy, but like the place was boarded up. There were some sketchy people outside, and me and him were like, "Where's this place?" And I'm like, "That's what I said." But I ended up doing okay. I ended up doing okay there, so that made up for that. I was very happy I wasn't alone. But then I did another event where there was literally a mentally ill homeless person jorking it in, broad daylight while we were setting up. Me and my friend who I was tabling with at the time, we did tell the staff. Don't know what happened, didn't see that guy again, but that was definitely not what I wanted to see when we were setting up, because it was right when we were setting up in like broad daylight. So again, very clearly a mentally ill homeless person. But yeah, those are the kind of areas you gotta look out for. I have to laugh because I still think about it that being like, what the crap. But that's what I mean. You gotta look into your area, look into if people know about the market or not. Where I am now in my little sellers, art market journey, is I am more willing to test out a first time event if it's an okay area. Only if it's, and these are my own little rules for what I have. I'm not investing any new money in merch. So if I have like a lot of leftover merch, or if I have a restock, it's cheap stuff I can do at home, the buttons and the stickers, maybe some prints here and there. But I'm not doing like an expensive restock for it. I will not drive more than an hour for a new one-time event because I don't know where it's going to be. And I will not do it for over $200. Those are my rules for brand new events that have never done anything before, no one's ever heard of, because the last time I did a smaller event, it was awful. It was awful. This is one of the places that actually supplied us table and chairs, and it was indoors, and it was usually in a high traffic area, so you never know, but it was a first time thing. And myself, my table buddy, and almost every other vendor that I talked to who did that event, we all did horribly because it just didn't have the traction. It didn't have enough social media presence, didn't have enough networking, it didn't have enough things for people to know about it. And so that's why I have learned my lesson with those gambles. Those are my rules. Obviously other people are going to have different things. The usual good thing with these kind of events is also usually 9 times out of 10, when you have a bigger space, when you have that, like I said, that nice little 10-foot spot, usually they don't care if you table share, which also means, split it more ways, which also means it's good for startup people. It's good for people who don't have a lot, and they're just trying to test their waters. So that way, also, you're only out a single day. Granted, it's a hard day because you're doing set up and tear down the same day. You're only doing it for one day over, your first time being a 3-day con. I still can't believe I did that. I still can't believe my very first event was Soccer Con, but some people dive in head first, other people, dip their toes in. And in this economy, I don't blame the people that are dipping their toes in. So, yeah, there's that. Something else that I was saying is you would be very surprised. I was able to get I started off with a 4-foot. I had a 4-foot table, one of those like nice little gray fold-up tables. So that's what I started off with when I started doing these, which isn't a lot of space. It's not great. It's not ideal, but it was free. I didn't have to buy a table. And so then, ironically enough, I was helping some of my family clean out a storage unit, and I found it was a very dirty, very scrunkly 6-foot table. And I remember being like, can I have this? And my sibling at the time was like, well, not at the time, they're still alive. My sibling was like, oh yeah, I have a new gray, fold-up table that I got for party. You can just have it. So I ended up getting it for free. A lot of the people I have talked to, similar situations, they had a family member that already had one, or they had a friend that already had one, yada, yada, yada. So I didn't technically pay for my table, but I also know you can usually get those, like, again, I'm talking about the cheap gray fold-up tables you can get from Walmart or Target. Last time I checked, granted it's been a while, because I was looking into it, they're like $60 or so. And then it's good just to have. Now you have the table, you have it with you. I've talked about this before, but my partner and I, we really enjoy going camping. So we actually invested in some very nice fold-up chairs for both my back disability and just comfort. So I now have some very nice, easy, lightweight fold up chairs. I used to have just one of those, again, like metal, cheap fold up chairs you can get from Target or Walmart. But now we have those nice little camping ones that I can take with me. They're very comfortable. They have water bottles. They have cup holders. They can lean back so I can rest my back. I can work on things. I don't feel like I'm too low to the ground. Yeah. As for the canopy, my friend actually has a canopy, and most of the time I've just kind of asked, I'm like, hey, if you're not doing an event, can I borrow it? And she's usually like, sure, get me Starbucks or something. Wait, not Starbucks. We've been boycotting it. You know when you have a turn of a phrase, that's not a word. You know when you have a saying that you just kind of do, and it's ingrained in your nature. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, we do the boycott. But I don't know if anybody knows what coffee bean is if you don't live around here. But yeah, be like, okay, get you some coffee bean, yada yada. And, that kind of thing, back and forth or whatever. Or if we're doing an event together, it's like, oh, okay, we'll just use hers. Yeah, works out. And I remember she got hers from Walmart for $60 or one of the nice 10-foot canopies. The next thing is with these events is they usually supply bathrooms. However, it's usually porta potties or vendors around the area, such as businesses. When I did the Spooky Night Market, the bar, at the end of the little rows that we did a thing, allowed vendors to go to the bathroom in there. And then, let me just check here. Yeah, so that's something I'm prepared for. You can't handle that. Probably, again, I hate saying it, don't go, because you're going to be there for a long time. So we're going to talk about the one of the ones that I regretted doing a lot. It ended up, there's good and bad in it, but it was mostly bad. And that's when this was my solidifying factor of never doing an event in the summer if there's not AC and it's not indoors, again, at least for out here. So my friend hit me up and told me about Seraphim and Shadows. I was very excited for this event. This has nothing to do with the event holders. This has nothing to do with the event itself. It literally has to do with the weather. It's what it came down to. I've worked with these people before. I've done Papu Mai. I'm already so long in the video. Anyway, I'm going to put it here. Yeah, I am crazy. And I actually have 3 events in October. I have LECC, so if you live in the SoCal area and you want to go to Los Angeles Comic-Con, I will be there all of the days with my table buddy. We will be there nightly Vel, selling our wares, doing some spooky stamp rallies. And then after that, I have Hoyoween. Hoyoween is by Papu Mai. It's a Halloween pop-up art market, like we're talking about here. And the weather is actually nice, so I have faith in it. And then at the very end of the month, I have, from what I understand, my very last Identity 5 cup sleeve. I'm so sad. I'm so sad for it to come to an end, but we're all a little burnt out on it. Having a blast with it. Excited to have it be the final one. But, yeah. There we go. Little shameless plug. Over. Anyway. We're going to talk about the heat. So, when I did Seraphim and Shadows, it was done by Papu Mai, who's the people who do the Hoyo stuff for the pop-ups. And, by the way, don't ask me how they do the pop-ups. They're the people who run it. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't got the brain worms for that. I got too much on my plate already. I can't handle thinking about hosting an event like that. So, fill out the thing. My friend was the one who actually told me about it, because they're like, hey, you like Hasbin Hotel, Hell of a Boss, Murder Drones, Amazing Digital Circus. I can't think, because the whole point was the dark side of indie animation. It was like a spooky little thing. And so me, myself, and a bunch of other people set up, and it was so hot. Awful. It was just awful. We're setting up, we're sitting, and I made, it was from technically like 11:30 to 10 p.m. So almost 12 hours. And I did not get, myself and other people did not get consistent cells until after 6 p.m. So almost all of us just sat there with our thumb in our butt, just kind of dying in the heat, getting drinks to cool down, chit-chatting and doing trades. That was it. That it's what it came down to. Now, I did make profit and I did break even, but it's one of those, what I was bringing up before, where, you know, if it's a 12-hour event and the last 4 hours of those 12 hours I'm getting paid, it's not really worth it. It's really not. And so that was my first time doing that, and I was very bummed out about it. Like, I was worried about the heat, but I was like, okay, maybe it won't be that bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. We all had canopies. We all had shade. Again, the hosts were amazing. They came by, gave us water. They let people do bathroom breaks. I do not blame them at all. I blame the fact that it was over 100 degrees because it was California in the summer. And obviously, I thought to myself, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't go to an art market in the heat. So I can't blame people for only showing up at night when the sun was down, when it wasn't disgustingly hot. So what I have learned from that event, though, and I usually do this when I do normal cons and stuff like that, and most people do, but if you do art markets, the more and more I've done, people don't usually show up right away. They don't. It's the same with conventions. Usually when they first open, it's very slow. Very rarely, obviously this isn't always, but very rarely is it very, very, very bumping. Usually you are sitting there, that's the time to get coffee, that's the time to get drinks, that's the time to get your bathroom breaks in. So I have here, which is very important, bring stuff to do. If you have a tablet so you can draw, do that. Bring a sketchbook, bring work. I have started bringing books again. If I have a lot of stuff with me, I will often bring my Kindle instead, so I can just have a little easy boop boop boop. Bring my Switch. My Switch was a lifesaver because Cody was with me. Cody is my partner, and so when he was there, so he wasn't bored out of his mind. Because I even said, I'm like, did you bring a book or a phone charger? He was like, no, I thought you did. And I'm like, no, I was working on everything else. So he literally played Tears of the Kingdom for, you know, most of that show. But yeah, so that's why I say that it is necessary to bring stuff. It's also why we see a lot of crafters. Usually they will bring crafts or stuff like that at events to do. I love watching those crochet people, the people who do the cute crochet, and then I'll see them at their table just crocheting while they're there. And honestly, I've slowly been getting into crochet. I get it. I totally get it. It's a great way to pass time. So that is something very, very important, because with these markets, you will have ebbs and flows. You will have highs and lows and things like that. Again, also depends on the area and the type of the event. So that's why I bring that up. And at least that way, at least you're doing something. I used to be like, I am so tired. I don't know how people can get work done while doing stuff. I've totally gotten past that. I have been able to blow through that and just get stuff done with me. Because the event I did after that, which it was an indoor event, but the AC sucked, so it might as well have been an outdoor event because it was still in the summer. Yeah, I went home with maybe $100 profit. Same thing. These art markets are usually almost 12 hours long. Again, that usually includes setup and teardown as well. So, there's that. Because I remember I was explaining to somebody this, where I kind of like in my previous video, where I was like, oh yeah, I only made like, $200 profit. And they're like, well, you made $200 like in a day. That's amazing. And I'm sitting here like, no, it's not. It's really not. Like, if I only made $200 in 12 hours of nonstop working, that's not that great. Especially if that's the only event I have for a hot second. And again, I'm lucky enough that I have outside income. I have secondary stuff. I know a lot of people that have been doing these art markets to make up for not getting into cons. I know a lot of people who have been having to do these to make important secondary income. You know what I mean? Like, again, they have been a great way to even out stuff, especially if, the con scene is very hard to do, or there aren't as many people that can go. Another thing that's important with these events is I have some raunchy stuff. Not safe for work stuff, but I have some curse words. I have some scary stuff that I don't really post on. Well, I have posted online. But, it's stuff that kids probably aren't really going to relate to. Unless they're like me. I was a weird kid. But, it's one of those things where, like, I had to censor a lot of my stuff. And I've seen people be like, well, I shouldn't have to do that. Buddy, that's the price you pay for paying for, like, $100 event. That's what you gotta do. It's one of those, like, oh, hey, if it's an all ages event, which they will usually tell you it's an all ages event, you gotta do that. Now, there are some people that don't agree to those rules, and those people I kind of side eye, because I'm like, you wonder why people don't want you back. Like, I get it, there's a time and a place for kids and everything like that, but when they say on all the stuff it's an all ages event, in my brain, I'm assuming there's kids. There's gonna be kids. It's just one of those things. You don't put all ages and it be an adult only event. Unless for some reason it's at, like, I don't know, midnight or something. But yeah, let's see. What do I have else here to bring up for it? Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I guess I can say a good way to find these events, and then we can wrap up the video. It's all I really got, because I know it sounds wild and crazy, but there aren't much to these art markets. They are not as detailed. They are not as stressful. Usually they don't have a, like, we sell out in 5 seconds like a lot of conventions do kind of stuff. Most of the places you can find them are on Instagram or on Facebook. I know. I don't like having a Facebook either. All right. I don't. But that's how most of these things are done and spoken and word of mouth and everything. You're not going to see ads for these on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. You're not going to see them on TV. You're not going to see them. That's just not how these things go. They are small, usually community-run events that are a fun way to, get out and let people have something fun to do. Because, I'm a person that also enjoys just being able to go do something for free, because we don't have a lot of those. So there are a lot of people I know that I've seen at many of these events that don't buy anything, they don't order the food, they just like looking around, talking to people, having fun with the artists, and then they just kind of go on their merry way. And it's a fun little thing to pass the time. It's a fun way to pass like a Saturday or a Sunday. That's the other thing. They're always on weekends. Just be prepared for that. If you want to get into this thing, your weekends are gone. Your weekends are work days. That's just how it works. I have seen some people try to complain about that, where, sorry if that noise was irritating, I took a drink of water. I had streamer mode on, and I was like, oh, I'm used to talking while I record, but, but yeah, where they're like, we need to do, like, a convention that's a week long. I'm like, have fun. Have fun. It's not gonna do well. Usually Thursdays and Mondays are, like, the slowest days for events and things like that. You want to do a thing for a week? A week? Are you crazy? It's the weekends. It's just what it's going to come down to. You're going to have to sign off having weekends. Your days off are during the week, or, if you have a lot of them backed up shortly after that. And, yeah, I've enjoyed doing them. I'm excited to do more. Again, keep the weather in mind for your area. Keep the price range in mind. Like I said, my rule might always not work for you or other things, but you would be surprised how many flea markets there are, how many events there are, how many things like that. But the one thing I will say, do your research into the events, because if you are like more of an artist alley artist, you might not blend in as well if you only have like fine artists to deal with, like fine art artists or crafters. Because I've had some people who do craft fairs really well, and their stuff does decent at a craft fair, and there's others where it just won't. That's what I mean by you need to look at what's going. Look at who they have vending. Look at the experience that's going on. And again, if it's a first-time event, well, if you don't like my rules, think about your rules, right? Because, yeah, there is no way, especially if you're starting out, and you have to, like, fill out a whole, like, 6-foot table, you are definitely not going to break even. Unless you already have the merch there ready to go, And I've seen it on TikTok, I've seen it on Instagram, and stuff like that. Again, the weather is the most important factor. If it is raining, if it is too cold, and if it is too hot, people are not going to show up. And ask yourself, like I said at the start of this video, would you do this event in this weather? If the answer is no, I'm going to let you know if people are going to show up or not. But yeah, All right, that's it. That's all I got. I don't think I can ramble anymore. It's gonna be fun to edit. Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys for listening and enjoying. And I hope we have a fun spooky season. I hope my video helped you. If it did, please let me know. And if not, and you still want to comment something, tell me what your favorite Halloween candy is. And if you don't like Halloween candy, what's your favorite candy? And if you don't like candy, why are you here? I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you guys as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.